Right guys, I am just about to jump on the beast. I might need to rename the bike. I'll come on to that later. And I'm going to make a visit to the worst nursery I have ever visited. It's not far from where I live, 15 minutes away. Why am I going there? I'll come on to that bit actually, but why is it the worst? I've been there a number of times. The plants and trees and shrubs have often appeared neglected, infected, just generally not well cared for whatsoever. And secondly, their prices are incredibly steep for what they're selling. But when I was thinking about where shall I visit next, it came to mind, and I don't know why, I quite enjoy going there. It's fairly small. By all accounts, it's fairly popular. It's always busy. They don't have a very vast selection, but I did want to capture, I went recently to David Cheshire's nursery, which was exceptional in terms of quality, care, variety, and I thought, now let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Now, it's not a bonsai specific nursery, it is more of a garden centre, but like all garden centres, there's options there when we're looking around. So I'm going to do a brief tour of the centre itself, and I'm going there with a mission. And I thought, when I'm doing these visits, it would be nice if I have a unique mission for each visit, and they can vary. So my mission for this visit is to purchase the most unconventional / ugly / challenging piece of material that I can. So when I'm looking around, what's the last thing that I want to buy and try and develop into bonsai? That is my mission for today. So that's not my sole mission for today. All of the building materials have arrived, so bench number 1 is going to get expanded and a second bench built down the bottom of the garden. So it's going to be a busy day. Let's go. Right, there's the car park. And here's the entrance. As I say, there's quite a few people here bimbling around, so I will do my best to talk freely while I'm walking through. It is a garden centre, so there's not any real inclination for them to have bonsai material as such. But they do have a lot of shrubs, a lot of trees, and I did say it was expensive, so there's a common no price on the olive trees, so we'll try and compare prices. I mean, here we go, here's a good idea. £20 for a type of lily. There we go. £28 for an olive tree. It doesn't look particularly healthy olive tree either. I mean, that's rich considering the root pruning that I did to mine recently. So I'm going to try and miss the flowers, of which there are many, and find some sort of bonsai-esque material. They do often have a lot of maples, and they're quite expensive. What's this? A Sabaria. Never heard of this, but these have got wonderful, really nice leaves actually. Hopefully that's picking them up. Awful trunks. So that could be potential. I mean, I'm looking for the worst possible bonsai material pre-bonsai material that I can find. And that could be an early leader. What is it? A new shrub selected for its stunning variegated leaves that look great from spring to autumn. During midsummer, plumes of creamy white flowers will appear as a bonus. Hardy, easy to grow, non-evergreen shrub will grow up to 1.2 meters. Do you know what? I probably like that too much to make that a candidate. But given the shocking trunk, that might be candidate number one. Not really a fan of salixes. If you're watching this and you've got any ideas for future, I'm not really sure what to call them, future objectives when I visit other nurseries. Obviously I'm looking for the worst possible bonsai material here. If you've got any ideas for future visits, please pop them in the comments. I'm already thinking the smallest possible bonsai material. So Hall's Garden Centre is in Erdington. You see they've got some lovely maples. £450 for that one. And actually when you look close it's not that great. There's quite a few people up there, so I'm going to walk around the tree section. And this is, I think, maybe it's changed. This used to be the reduced section, but it's not. It's got a selection of hebes or hebes. I mean, they're wonderful colour, aren't they? Milky white underneath, and this new growth is bright purple, but not what I'm looking for. A rose. A rose could be an option. They're not generally used for bonsai, which would make it a fantastic choice. They've generally got awful bases that make them, I mean, if I look over here, probably find an example. You know, they're generally a bit of a mess. Like these all seem to be. Not what you want in a bonsai. So maybe a rose is the worst possible choice I could make. How much are these? £17. I know a lot of viewers watch from the States. I don't know what £17 is in American money. Just have a quick look on the other side. There are some maples, a couple of maples here. I mean, they need air layering, which isn't something that I'm really, well, it's not that I'm not into it, I've never done it, so. They've got a variety of roses. I'm already facing a conundrum, because if I'm going to buy the worst pre-bonsai material ever, it would be very easy to get something that's absolutely impossible to use looking around here. So maybe I'll need to just add a little asterisk to that and say there needs to be at least a percentage of potential. Right, we've got the other side, a few selections of berberis. I quite like berberis. Obviously that's an awful candidate, so that could be a good choice. As is that one. How much are these? I mean, £16 for that is... I don't know, to me it feels a bit extortionate. What have we got here? A sprayer, £12. I don't mind that, that's quite... I can see a little bit of potential in that, so we'll tick that one off the list. Pink crispy. Yeah. Photinia ceratifolia, never heard of it. Yeah, I did feel a bit guilty as I was riding over here, thinking I've just slated this this nursery and then put it online. So, I mean, the stock actually looks a lot better today, to be fair. A Sambucus nigra black. This has been a shrub that I've liked for quite some time. I just like the leafing. It's relatively fine, and I've never seen one that I've looked at and thought that would be good for bonsai. So maybe now is the opportunity to buy something. It appears to backbud reasonably well, so I could be pretty harsh in how I treat it. That's a candidate. So yeah, I was saying I might need to rename the bike because it just isn't a beast. It's a 1050cc, but I've had Yamaha R1s a few times actually, and it's just not a beast in comparison. Eucalyptus, I have a couple of eucalyptus, and these actually look really healthy. £28. I think because I've got a couple, it doesn't make sense to add another. Is this some sort of holly? What is it? Osmanthus heterophilus variegatus. No common name, just the Latin. It's quite a soft holly. Herbs. Ficus carica. £40. Okay, so the video I just cut out. Ficus carica, £40. I mean, that's pretty steep, I think. Coming with the mission of buying the worst material possible is pretty difficult when everything looks the worst material. possible. Let's have a look what I've got. Black currants, rhubarb, small little reduced section, half price to clear. What is that thing? Mahonia, Medi Winter Sun. I don't know if this is half price or what. I'll leave it. There's nothing there. Cupressus. Conifers. You know, this is probably the 7th time I've visited this place, and I don't know why I continue to come back. But here I am. What about that? A Cotoneaster, I've got quite a few, but if anything looked a mess. That looks a mess. No, I don't want to work that one out. A Magnolia Susan. My mum's name. That would be the worst one possible. Big old slug there, having a bit, 2 slugs. I think they're eating and some fertiliser or something. More sprayers. Sprayer Magic Carpet. I'm not sure they're meant to have speckled leaves, because the ones next to it haven't. So we'll walk on. Wow, these azaleas are looking healthy. And then we've got more azaleas. They are looking healthy. I've got a couple of azaleas and I must confess I don't particularly like them. You know what? I think I'm being drawn back to the first one I looked at. Species, anyway. Ligustrums, £15. Nah. Right, let me head up to the section where the ornamental meet. Do you know what, that's too big. Let me have a look how much this one is. $22.99. I'm sure. Oh, it's very prickly. Yeah, I'm not keen on the prickly trees. Not for me. Lavender, just looking out of interest how much the lavender is. Starting about 11, 12 pounds. Look at this azalea. I mean, it's actually really quite pungent, quite nice. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the maple section. I'll give you a little look at the pond. So they do have some lovely, I think that's a mugo pine, isn't it? Just landscaped in. I'm not sure actually if it is a mugo pine. I'm so used to seeing mugo pines dead, like mine. Let's have a look what we've got. A moonrise. $34.99. Quite a high graft as well. Yeah, the landscaping that they've done here is actually really good, and there are some big old fish in there. They're probably in the shade out there. Oh, there's one. I don't know if you'll see it on the camera. Let me see if I can zoom in. Let's just see a shadow moving. Okay. So maple isn't out of the question, and you might be thinking, well, why is that a worst possible tree? Because it's inevitably going to have a graft, isn't it? And I'm going to get absolutely ripped off for the price. I mean, look at that. What is it? Never heard of it. Robinia. But look at the graft. Not very nice. Okay, what have we got here? So these are tiny. £6.50, not bad. Not bad. These aren't that bad, £25. £35, the moonrise ones. I mean, look. Oh. That to me just isn't appealing. You know, it's got a bit of inverse taper, it's just, I don't know, never going to look good as it grows, is it? I mean, these grafts are a little bit better, but I'm sure, yeah, if you go below the surface, there's inverse taper in there from the graft too. Wow, look at that one. I don't think that's for sale. It's quite nice. What is that? Emerald lace. Do you know what? I'm going to buy one of these, not as part of why I'm here, just because I like the leaves. Let me stop the camera and dig one out. Okay, this is the one I'm going to go for. £6.50. It's not a big spend. Right, back to the objective, and I'm going to go back to the first one that I was looking at and make a choice. Okay, decision made. Sabaria, I'm choosing this one. Okay, this is the one. Right guys, I'm back home. I'll give you a look at the two plants in detail in a second. It's been a long day. In hindsight, probably a little bit harsh of the criticism of the nursery. It was actually in decent condition today. Maybe the times that I've visited in the past have just been, maybe it's just been badly timed. There were a couple of times as I was walking around videoing that, no, there were 3 times where a couple of their employees sort of walked up to me, and I thought they were going to say something and ask me what I was doing, but they didn't, thankfully. Anyway, onto the plants. I think I failed my mission, if I'm honest. So first up is this emerald lace maple. £6.49. Quite happy with that. That was just a spur of the moment purchase. It's in a little, you can see inside, it's not actually in the soil, it's got its little cotton sort of pouch. Cotton pouch, is it cotton? I don't know. That they grow these things in, so that's going to be repotted shortly. And then the reason I went there, so the mission was to buy the worst possible bonsai material that I could, and I think I've failed, because let me bring you in. It doesn't have a bad trunk. Not a bad trunk at all. And this foliage is just absolutely fantastic. Reminds me, for some bizarre reason, of what makes me think of Jurassic Park. I'm not quite sure why. Now obviously I have no idea what a Sabaria is. Sabaria Sem. £13.99. So I definitely failed, because I quite like it and I wanted to leave there with something awful. So as I said earlier in the video, if you've got any requests for future video missions when I'm visiting these centres, please drop one in the comments. Wondering why it's been a long day. I've moved 1,000 kilos worth of these breeze blocks from the front of the house to here, which was no mean feat. All of this space is pretty much now been cleared. There's some material there that I'm going to bag up in the morning. I've moved everything that's going to go on the new bench to the top part of the garden. That alone took some time, and then that is how long, 3 meters long, the new bench is going to be. So part one of the mission, moving all those bricks, done today. 70% of this has been cleared, and then tomorrow, providing we get some more glorious weather, the bench will be done and these little beauties will have a proper home. So these are things that I've never really shown on camera because they've been all on the floor. So let's have a quick look through. I'm not going to point anything out unless it's specifically of interest to me. Got a lovely ginkgo here actually. I do some nice little movement in that one. You might have seen in an earlier video I chopped these two hollies down, and that one is starting to hopefully develop some branches. That one's just looking like might have a branch where my finger is there, starting to appear, so that'll be great. I've got 5, 10 crab apples growing away. I've got this multi-trunk thuja that needs a bit of work doing. Ignore that, that was just to create space between two branches, but my intention ultimately is to chop this right down. Anything else of interest? A couple of big trees here, they need, well, I'm just letting these grow out a little bit. Box full of delights here. These two things here, I'm not sure what they are. If anyone knows, let me know. They've got incredibly dark trunks, like much darker than any type of tree that I've seen. They're a royal pain in the arse. They've been nothing but problems to me. They just do what they want, and by that I mean they just fall over all the while. I find them in different areas of the garden, which is quite bizarre. What's that? Nice little field maple growing. Oh. And then this gigantic hebe, which I've done some big work on. I've no idea, I don't think this looks like it's ever going to backbud, so I got it free from a lady down the road. What else is going on? Got a few things starting to flower, which is quite nice. And actually, today I've seen a couple of bees, which is encouraging to see. This is I mentioned azaleas in this video. This azalea here, one side's dead, the other side's starting to flower. And then I've got a couple of azaleas at the back just starting to flower. Do not like azaleas. The olive tree that I absolutely tore apart is clinging on for dear life. These three need repotting shortly. What is that? Chinese plum yew. Some good new growth on that at the top. Very spindly ginkgo. And here, I wish my microphone cut out when I did this rose. This is my rose. It's growing really well, but the repotting of that was the worst experience of my life. And then at the back, the contorted hazel finally starting to kick into life. So tomorrow, big task. Doesn't help if you can see. If I hold the camera level, you can just about see the downward slope that I'm dealing with there. You can tell by the fence panels as well, actually. So there'll be a bit of digging in, and that's okay. So yeah, hope. Oh, the cotoneaster that I repotted is just starting to get some berries on. They'll grow nice and vibrant red. Not quite sure why the leaves are going orange on the other side though. Doesn't fill me with hope that that's healthy. And then this little monstrosity, I wasn't sure if it looked like a lobster or a cannon, because when I repotted it, the roots were atrocious. It's actually survived, and it's starting to leaf out, which is really, really encouraging. So yeah, big day ahead tomorrow. Fun times. Oh, I found this little beauty on the floor as well, hidden right at the back. Let me pick it up so you can get a better view. Look at that. Lovely. In fact, let me show you one last thing. So obviously with this bench, there's a gap between the top part and the wall. And I found, where did I put it? Did I put it over here? It must be over the other side. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, there it is. Let me take it out. I think it's a Japanese black pine. So I found this on the floor at the back of the bench behind brickwork. It'd been on its side on the floor for, I mean, I picked it up 3 months ago and hadn't seen it, 4 months ago and hadn't seen it since. So just shows you don't need to baby your trees. No idea what I'm going to do with that at the moment. Oh, let me pop that back down. So yeah, a lot going on, but all very enjoyable in the process. Anyway, thank you for watching. It's about 8 PM now. I'm ready for bed.